To testify, chain the signatures launched. We're reaching for the sky. Blockchain hit the locks. Names leading the drive. Now sign ain't changed. The future's is live. Name signatures we ride. Anytime, anywhere. Near protocol nights. Catch a secret there. Blockchain out in the technologies are fair. Elevate the game. Chains all in the air. About to blow up, it's time to testify. Chain the signatures launched. We're reaching for the sky. Blockchain hit the locks. Names leading the drive. Now sign ain't changed.
All right, man. Welcome everybody. There's our intro. Just keep adding to it every week.
Love that.
Thank you guys.
Expensive at all.
No, dude. The numbers. We got to talk about that too. I think we're in a time in marketing where cost isn't always mean best, right? And we can get into that a little later too. I think there's getting some clever ways to fix things. But yeah, so welcome everybody. Welcome. This is a AMA special marketing edition. And we have two of the biggest marketers in the near ecosystem. We got Vish, the head of product marketing at Proximity, and Misha, the CMO at Sweat. Very excited for this project or this AMA. And we've got some people joining a little later on just to kind of frame some of this for some different users. But so just a little high level housekeeping. Redacted, a near event, is running an online hackathon currently that has over 1,400 people hacking already, and it's growing. It has just been extended to October 31st due to demand. There's over 700,000 in bounties, and there's still time to join because not only can you hack for, chain abstraction and chain signature and all that kind of stuff, there's also AI agent bounties, which is a whole other vertical, and those take less time, but there's a lot more time to still join. So check all that out, and we'll have links below and all that. All right. Housekeeping done. Welcome.
Yeah.
Vish, Misha, let's begin. Let's talk marketing, specifically for hackathons and projects and what they're going to build and all that stuff. So, Vish, if you want to jump in.
All right. I love it. I think I will actually just start by just kind of shattering the glass. One of the biggest things which I have noticed that I've been in blockchain for a while now. One of the things before Near, I was with another blockchain and everything. But one of the key things that I noticed that marketing was never integrated from the get-go in most of the projects ever. And I think that is one of my challenges and also one of the things that I would 100% change over the next few years. Marketing needs to be, one of the founding fathers of any project that anyone builds. They need to find out the product market fit before they invest so much time, and they need to have a structure.
Misha, what do you feel about that too? What is your if you had to give your high level of how you think of marketing with hackathons and, just kind of frame how you kind of think about it?
Oh, it really comes down to understanding that marketing is simply a subset and kind of subcategory of communication. So if we understand communication in the simplest, most fundamental, pure form, whether it is to a user, current user, future user, potential user, a former churned user, it doesn't really matter. We have to understand that marketing is just a tool to engage, to attract, to excite. And when you're building a new project specifically, whether it's a hackathon or you are starting your own startup or you're building on top of something already very, very large, like we are doing, you still have to go into the kind of key fundamentals and first principles of things, which is you have to stand out and provide two fundamental things. And that is both from product as well as from communication and marketing. And that is, you have to be useful to the user and valuable. And if you can't figure that out, you won't be able to succeed in either.
Dude,
I completely agree, like Misha, on that. Like, also that, like, this does raise a philosophical question in a way. It's like, what is marketing? Like, what is really marketing? Are we creating a need, or we are supplying information for that particular need? Is it the feature, or is it the benefit that what the end user thinks about?
so
Yeah, and
something
I think, wait, Jerry, I just got to pop in there because Vishal is saying something really essential. It's like, what are we creating first, right? We're creating a solution to a problem, or we're seeking the opposite, essentially, of problem, solution, chicken, egg. And I think a lot of blockchain projects and Web3 projects over the past few years have really just been, finding solutions for problems that really doesn't exist. Right. And we at Sweat,
Absolutely.
we work very differently, where it's like there is a massive problem in the world, which is global inactivity, where roughly a third of the world's population are considered inactive. And among adolescents, just 10 to 19-year-olds, 81% are inactive, have an inactive lifestyle. We at Sweat incentivize them to move, solving a real problem through the use of Web3 and blockchain.
Yeah.
I think like one of the key things about Sweat, and one of the reasons it became my one of the most favorite products in general. Like I'm not talking about Near right now. I'm just talking about just in general in Web3. First you guys had crazy traction for the 9 years in the Web2. Moved on to like a more of a Web3 things, but at the same time you maintain the same values. You actually have a tangible use case, which a lot of the projects that don't.
Yeah, and real quick, guys, you're giving such great information, and I think a lot of people who are like building projects don't always know where to start, right? Like I think like that's like if we can think of the audience like this, say you're a hackathon, you're a dev, you're a deep dev, and you're like, I don't really like, you didn't go to marketing, or as some user dropped, Seth Godin, this is marketing. Like, come on, that's a great book, right here. Just like, and if you guys drop comments and stuff, I'll totally bring them up on stage, but that's super right, LinkedIn user. But like, this is like the important thing. So for this hackathon, we'll kind of mix between like maybe tactical, like stuff that people can do, plus greater possibilities after the fact. So someone starts a hackathon. How do they start to think about like this problem solution construct?
Misha, do you want to go first on that one, or should I go?
Yeah, no, I think that there's a few sets of problems they need to overcome and answer essentially for themselves. And that is not just a problem and solution. That is the first one. Okay, what problem am I solving and for who? That is the most essential question. Who are my potential users? Who are my potential interested parties out there, depending on whether you're building a DeFi protocol or a DEX or an aggregator or an indexer, or you're actually building consumer-facing products. You have to think of who will actually use this and to what extent, right? Am I looking for getting someone's attention or someone's capital or someone's interest? Hey, Joe, what's going on, man?
What's going on?
Hey, Joe.
Hey.
So just to pick up the thread there, first thing first, try to solve a real problem for real people out there. Right? That is the most essential question, especially when you're building on Near, because Near has such incredible infrastructure. It's fast like I don't want to say the word, but it's really fast, okay? And it
It's
is
very fast.
scalable through sharding that you can just continuously scale beyond infinity, essentially. Now with chain abstraction, the world is your oyster. You can literally just tap into new communities. We at Sweat just, we integrated 5 of them a few weeks back, and it's rolling out in the next couple of weeks to more than 10 million users. So I mean, we're talking about abilities where you can scale very quickly if you have the right formula.
So you're doing a go-to-market to those 5 communities, right? And this is where I think marketing really can amplify a project. So you have Sweat already successful. Now you're like, okay, these 5 communities. Do you, from a CMO standpoint, how do you think about rolling out a campaign at your scale? And then do you think there's a way for someone at a small scale, like say 2 devs hacking, 3 devs hacking, to do something that has low work, high impact, that could maybe not match what you do, but help get them started?
Yeah, I think I'll go to that second part of the question first. When you're building something quite small in scale, it's all about getting the signal, see if someone is interested. Is this getting any traction whatsoever? And if not, then maybe you're not doing the right thing. Doesn't mean that the project should be tanked. It just means that you have to have more patience, you have to have more perseverance, you have to push through. But I think now with chain abstraction, there is just so much possibility to actually test that in different communities, in different locales and geolocations throughout the world. For us, the importance is to partner up not only with the blockchain foundations of these other chains, but also with the top dApps and kind of application layers on the chains themselves. So because suddenly you're just, Near is great as a community, but it's still an island, right?
Yeah.
It is many other islands. Suddenly we're just building bridges, but those bridges are invisible, immutable, permissionless, and transferable. So it's a pretty good place to be.
Too many engines, not enough carriages.
Yeah, but
Indeed.
And Misha, what you're just saying there is, okay, partnerships. That's a way that a smaller project can start marketing, right? Like it doesn't have to be these huge things, but your small team, you create your like basic assets. I always say don't go too heavy on assets at first. Just get some stuff, have fun. Don't spend money there.
Have a product market fit in a way.
Yeah. Then partnerships could be something that these teams do. Do you guys advise? And Joe, let me catch you up. Amazing marketing stuff. And I'm trying to sort of like funnel that into what this hackathon, right? We have over 1,400 hackers. How do they do things while hacking that can also be leveraged to market their product? And then feel free to jump in and ask any specific questions for that too, because I really want to know how we can help people in this hackathon right now as well.
Like I would say one of the first things, like before they build any project, before they invest, like even literally a single hour of their coding time, I think the first thing they do need to find out if there is actually a market for that. And also when I say if there isn't actually a market for that, and that is very relative from project to project, but in whatever they are doing, they need to find out the product market fit without investing too much of their time, without investing too much of their money. That I would say first step is actually finding out and making product market fit tangible.
Okay, product market. So now, Joe, here's where because I agree with this. I also think hackathons might be slightly different, and you let me know, Joe. So there are certain bounties. You're either doing a bounty for proximity and chain abstraction, or you're doing like BitDay or whatever you are. And if the bounty is focused to one thing, should you think of product market fit for that as well? And is it always possible? Joe, what do you think from a developer point of view at a hackathon?
So it's tricky. It's definitely one of those things where one of the things I've tried to harp on when talking to developers is that you definitely needs to be something that people want if you want to win, right? Like you can't just like slap together something and where it doesn't make sense. Like I'm just doing it just to do it, because like Misha said, I first jumped on, like the technology is there. Like we understand how good the technology is. So you're not here just to showcase technology. You're here to, make a product of some sort, even if it's the basic part of it. Like we're at the bare bone because it's a hackathon. That's fine. I totally agree with Vish here, where I'm like, if you need to understand though, like, is this something that's going to fit into the market? Is this something that's going to be even if like maybe like my submission isn't going to actually be the final product, I need to be on that path. I need to understand that I can get from A to B to C with this, to do that. And so that's where I love this hackathon for Redacted, because there's so many partners that I can integrate with to be able to start getting down that path of having both worlds, product and partnership.
I completely agree, with Joe on that one. Like in the end, I do think even in the early stages, like your results, your market, in some way needs to still be tangible. Like you know your market, you know what you're building, and if it's actually needed.
Yeah, but it's not only needed, right? In my opinion, it also should be wanted, in the sense of what are we looking for as an
Absolutely,
industry, but not only
absolutely.
from a user perspective, which I'm talking even like
Yeah.
what do we want to get out of this incredible technology that we've now been dabbling in for years and years, and new entrants are coming in, and it's not as complex as it was before, right? We're actually able
Absolutely,
to
yeah.
use even fast auth. In Sweat, we just create social logins like Web 2. And if you want to upgrade, suddenly you can go to 12 words. And if you want to upgrade complete paranoia, you can go to Cold Wallet. Like things like this didn't exist before. And suddenly we can just branch out from near to 5 EVMs: ETH, Base, Optimism, Arbitrum, and BNB. I mean, these possibilities were kind of unthinkable before. But what I'm trying to get to is anyone who's coming in and building fresh, especially on near, given all the kind of tech stack that's available and the infra that's already been made, focus on consumers. Focus on three main, I would say, metrics for success. And that is active users, and active users, because that is really what's going to drive this industry.
I love it.
Because nothing else will propel us beyond what we've already been. So we have to think on new horizons. We have to think new ways to innovate, and we want to reach 1 billion. It's time to get building.
Oh, dude, that's
Absolutely.
Vish, if you want to, because I think that's such a good idea. Like now, Joe. You said something a second ago. You said you have to think of marketing if you want to win a hackathon. What did you mean by that? Is it marketing to the judges, marketing to the ecosystem? What were you when you said that? If I could go a little deeper.
Yeah. So this is obviously there's a strategy of like, I guess kind of marketing to judges, of like knowing who your judges are. Right. There's a little bit of gamesmanship there. But as someone who has been a judge for multiple hackathons as well, I will say I definitely give deferential treatment to those that are thinking about what they built as something that can have an audience immediately. Because it shows to me that as a builder, that you are trying to not just, again, show off the tech. You're not just trying to big brain everything. You're just like, look, I understand that I can take something that is going to be used by other people. And it doesn't have to be overly complex. No one's asking you to build the next Uber during this. We're just saying, look, have you given thought to who your user base is? Have you given thought to what is this actually solving for? Because that's where you're going to get more points from, exactly. This is the stuff that I, as a builder, as a developer, I'm always trying to think of, right? Like when I'm doing my own products, it's like, who is going to use this? If I am the only user of it, well, then that's a cool thing to build on the weekend, and I can do that myself. If I want to go actually go out there, I need to think of who's the end user.
I 100% agree on that one. Like, who is the user? Like, if you just think like most of the builders, I think it's like something which they have in their head. It's like, okay, they're amazing builders, but not everything will have users.
Yeah. I agree. I see. So we've gotten some people like asking questions in the chat and stuff, and someone said like, open it up to marketers to be part of the hackathon, right? And they can be, right? So in theory, a marketer could have an idea, connect with some devs, and actually do a marketer approach first to this hackathon, which I think would be a pretty cool way. Are there like, when two devs have zero thing, is there like any resources that you would send them to first off, or maybe after this we put something together like that, right? Like that I think is like an interesting thing, like
absolutely. Like I've actually put down go to market kind of like a template if any of the developers want it. It's just like you fill it down like I think it's like a 16 17 lines. It's like structured. I have the methodology, how they need to think about it, and if it makes sense, if they feel that that's going to be good for them as a builder, but also let's say if they are building and we need to help them, then we also we have like a kind of a scratch board where we can start on, and that but in the end goal, that's so much like it actually helps them understanding their market.
Yeah, I mean, I can just verify that Vish is not speaking bullshit here. He actually showed me to me last week, and the go-to-market template where you kind of fill it in is not only for near or proximity or anyone else to kind of look over it. It's actually for founders, builders, and devs to question themselves, right? To see, what am I doing right? What is missing? Do I have a target audience? Do I have segmentation? Am I even thinking of which region or what kind of social status behind my users I'm going for? So there's a lot there to really think of when you kind of implement that go-to-market strategy.
Yeah, and that's good. And Near actually has put together a founder hub, right? And it has some marketing stuff on there. So I think I'm going to try to add that to it because I think that could be a really nice singular resource that devs can use. Joe,
absolutely.
Yeah, totally, man. I can't wait. Now, we'll make it look real nice. We'll get it to a designer, make it feel like a good deck.
I love it.
Amazing what they do. So Joe, what is like one thing, if you could say that like from a dev point of view, that they can do themselves without a marketer that could help push their project forward?
So it's sometimes hard to step out of yourself to do this, but like I think the simple thing is, and even if it's to a stranger, just like literally say, even to yourself in the mirror, show off what you're doing and say, would I use this? If I didn't build this, would I use this? Is this something that I'm interested in? Like that's step one. And if you say, well, I would say this is cool, it's cool tech, but I'm not really going to make use of it, that answers your question right off the bat. I don't think we understand that like marketing is its own skill, right? That's why there are marketers, there are developers. We understand that, but I think it's totally okay to at least have that initial conversation with yourself of just like, Ken, like it's a sanity check, right? Like, am I going to be able to have other people who are interested in it? And you can be very successful with just, hey, maybe you just need 100 people to really like it. That's awesome. But if you yourself can't buy into it, and I'll say this, and forget even marketing, just as a builder, if I don't feel passionate about it, if I can't see myself using it, then I'm not going to continue to work on it with the same amount of enthusiasm as maybe I do for trying to win money. So now, so that's where it is too, of like, then that passion will show. Judges will see that. When you put together your little presentation to show, here's what I built, because you do have to make a little presentation to show it off and all that stuff. They will see if you are enthusiastic about it, how you talk about it on your video, all those different things. And so, but that's the easiest way. Just ask yourself, ask your friend, ask your neighbor, hey, would you use this if I built it? If they say, I don't even know what that is, then maybe that answers your question.
I think Joe came on to something really important here, and that is passion. Like, when you're building anything, whatever you're working with, whether you want to, start something from scratch or you want to scale something existing, if you cannot find that desire and passion for why you're doing it, then it's going to be very difficult to build something that's either valuable or useful to anyone else. So I reinforce that, find that passion, sure, and go for it.
Nice. Joe, question for you with hackathons. Is it like, a big deal? Like, should every hackathon participant, like when they're building, come up with like the name, get the handle, like all that? Or is that too early at a hackathon? Or do judges look at that? Like if you're presenting your thing and you have all the sort of like pieces together for a beginning stage of marketing, does that at all maybe help? Or is it superfluous work?
I mean, I think you can easily get into the weeds of that. Like,
Okay,
I
cool.
mean, there's a lot of people who, even if you're not a developer, I mean, you have like, 24 domain names that you own that don't just sit there. And like, sometimes that's like the fun part of like coming up with that. But you don't necessarily need to have like what it's going to be. You don't have to stumble on that great thing. But it is important that like maybe you give any name to it. Again, like it's about like the enthusiasm and showing of it. Like even if it's a terrible name, at least I know that like if you tried to give it something and you tried to put some effort towards it of like, this is my top widget, great. Like it's all of those pieces come together. You can always fix it down the road, and you can hopefully hire a marketer and actually go through that. But yeah, you don't have to be perfect, and don't spend your time on that. You're much better off spending your time on, again, the usability of it.
Great.
You can call it whatever. Make sure that when someone opens up your app, they know what to do.
See, Misha and Vish, that's what you were saying. That's the top of it. It's like
Absolutely.
And another thing that I would just chime in on here is when you're presenting at a hackathon specifically, you're coming up with an idea, or you're building the foundation of a project, or you're coming up with a proof of concept. Don't try to solve all the problems of the world, right? Don't become an indexer that's also a wormhole, that's a bridge, that's a DEX, that's literally the opposite. Just remove everything that's not essential and just stick to the bare bones of it, because that is usually what's going to set you apart and what's going to make you also be remembered by judges and everybody in the audience.
Totally. That's great advice. Vish, do you want to share your screen? I don't want to, but if you're ready.
Yeah, like I'm trying to figure it out. Like it's already in there, but I can't seem to
Here's what we'll do.
it.
Well, you're kind of, I'll bring it to stage in just a second, but just real quick, let's a couple people shouting out into the community, because people are actually asking questions. I like that, near mobile wallet. Let's go. I'm with you there. Bunch of shilling. LinkedIn. Good. Dig that. Joe is in the house, which is awesome. No. Shout out. And then Sarah from LinkedIn's asking real questions. Well, we can pull up those a little later, but we've answered one. And then Sarah's refused work that she wasn't passionate about. Respect. Dude, when I see real questions and comments, I have to shout them out. I love it. All right.
I mean, that's the best, right?
Yeah, totally. So shall we bring are you ready to have your monitor on stage?
Let's go, yeah.
All right, here we go. There we go.
Right. So this is something so this is actually something I built, which we can actually share it with the projects that are currently building, pretty much anything on near. So what I did in this particular document, this is kind of like an ELI 5 kind of document. So I started with methodology, how it should be for the teams, what they need to look for, what's their value proposition, what is their positioning, which at least in their head, what's eventually their marketing strategy as well. But one of the key things here is once you go to the methodology that I built, and then you just do your research about your project, about your prospective, your end users and everything, then you could just fill out this form in some way, right? Because it's going to be good for you as a company, but it's also just very clear template on what you should do and what you should know about your market. So I built this, just internally, but at the same time, I also did, because I understand a lot of Web3 founders don't have that much time or bandwidth for the marketing side of things. So I also did a bare bones framework. But this is the bare bones is actually the bare bones, in my opinion. Before you start building anything, you need to know this plan. You need to know your prospective users, and you need to know how do you reach them.
Vish, this is legit. Now here's my question, and maybe this will get to in a bit getting into AI and marketing, but you could take all that info, hook it up into an agent, make a Vish AI, and then everybody could just like bring that onto their,
absolutely.
right? And then you just can, then it could almost walk people through a process as you answer your way through it, specifically from your content.
Absolutely.
So then,
I mean,
yeah.
like that, like totally be like my whole vision, and that's actually like a completely different topic about like AI. Like all the knowledge I have, all the papers I have written in the past 3 years, we can have like a local LLM, and it's just based on marketing.
And then that LLM will get paid by other LLMs to give the info when people are trying to build out on here.
Exactly.
Then we're getting into the user-owned internet world.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Joe, what do you think about what you just saw Vish drop there from a dev point of view? Like,
well, I mean, that stuff is great because devs like things that are nice and organized and I can follow. I mean, it's like a script, right? I can just I don't have to be a marketer. I don't have to, that doesn't have to be my specialty to do that. And again, to me, and something that I've talked about in a lot of the different shows that I've been doing for devs has really been about like taking time to just think is so important. And a document like that allows you to just do that mental work of let me go through all of this. Let me think before I start coding. Let me really go through all of the ins and outs
Build
of
a
what I'm trying
project
to
that
get to.
actually makes sense and has
Yep.
a market, right?
Yes, exactly. Because I'm guilty of this, and I think all devs are. Sometimes like you just want to just like start building and you're just coding, and next thing you know, I'm 2 weeks in of coding and I'm not really sure where things are going. And so
Absolutely.
I love anything that's going to structure my thought process. I'm here for.
Like Joe, I'm happy to share that template with you. Like, and also pretty much like anywhere, like anyone here or like any prospective projects that they're currently building for the hackathon or not, I'm happy to share that template.
can someone build an AI agent using on Bita using your info and get a bounty for helping people market in the hackathon? Am I getting too Inception here? Is this possible? I think like
it's a bit inceptionally, but
Inception, you know. I think that'd
But
be
Jared,
pretty cool.
maybe you share a little bit more on how you envisioned, because user-owned AI is, it's a very interesting approach, but it can definitely feel far off from like, what is the use case? How do I interact with it as a regular user? Why does it empower Near and projects like Sweat and others that are big players on Near? But you were talking before about like how you envision this actually coming about as a use case. Maybe you can go into more detail on that.
Totally. And I think sometimes it's like the terminology, and as marketers, it's trying to figure out how to market. So there are people at Near in marketing that are working on trying to get the exact language down. So I don't want to front run anything there. But what I can say is and you can watch any of the Near AI office hours. That's really where I get a lot of my info. They share lots of stuff on there. But when I think of Near's great vision of user-owned internet, right? Name TBD. But right now, just think of that like a user-owned internet. A lot of the world is going to be prompt-based, not so much website and app-based. Or if you want to get even way headier, it's sort of apps will be built in real time as your prompts go. It'll be interesting. That's like down the road a little bit. But I think what is interesting from like, say, a marketing perspective is that projects will be able to think about users in a much quicker, simpler way where can a user use this through prompts and they can build on that end. So I do wonder if the UX UI will be a little bit more covered in that area. So that's sort of like one thing. But then, I don't want to front run too much, you know what I mean? But that's how I look at it. Like you got this high level user-owned internet, 3 substacks, which is AI, chain abstraction, Near's way with like chain signatures and all that, and then blockchain. And so most users probably won't even know that's going on though, right? Like Misha, you run Sweat. How much do users know what like the back end of everything?
Well, most users don't understand the back end of what the Near protocol supports. We have 20 million installs. We have 3 million monthly active users, roughly 1.5 million monthly on-chain active users at the current rate. So the scale is a lot larger than most crypto projects, right? And it's still only the inception. Sweat has only been around for 2 years, but the importance is to understand who are we onboarding. Just like you said, like most of the people in Sweat either are relatively new to crypto or completely new to crypto, or it's, yeah, okay, wow, this is a really interesting kind of movement economy project. I want to dabble in it. So we keep communication simple, straightforward, direct. Of course, involve our DAO. So we have the world's most active DAO, which is, I think, is one of the coolest things that are happening on Near. You know, we every month or two we have a new vote, a proposal that garners 150 to 200,000 individual votes, because we're mobile only, we can eliminate bots, right? We don't have any bots because it's a physical device. It's not it's not a replicable bot infrastructure. But I think in the end, it's all about abstracting away, even distracting away. Like, you know, you just remove all the complexity. No need. You know, yes, it's okay to say that you're on blockchain. It's okay to speak about Web3, even crypto, but that shouldn't be the core message. The core message should be, I have something useful for you. I have something valuable to you. It's going to change this in your life, or it's going to change that in your life. You know, and that, I think that's the most important key message.
I'm clipping that because you just gave some really clear marketing.
Yes.
Right there. That's a 1 minute clip that I think every person should listen to. That was very well.
Loved it. They need.
Yeah,
they
that was
need
good.
to. You know, Rabbi, preach.
Yeah. So yeah. Half my family is a Sweat, and none of them are talking. We're not talking the blockchain about it. You know, no one's maxi on that. But yes, that's really cool. So may I let me ask you both a question, just because we've got a couple of minutes, and I'm curious on your things on how you think AI will help. One, how do you think AI will affect marketing? But two, how do you think it will help enable devs maybe easier ways to do some stages of marketing?
I mean, I would say like with the current state of
wait,
right?
Vish, you know what? You go
sorry.
first. I have something. I'm going to put out my thought because it's going to be profound. Go.
Okay. Now, so like one of the key things with the current state of AI and the marketing, you know, if you are a marketer or if you're a founder, you need to know what to actually ask. You need to know the questions to be able to get an answer that makes sense. So at the very beginning of anything, you actually need to know the questions to ask. Once you have that, much easier. The AI can make a plan, make a framework, you know, make a proper strategy, but you also need to know what you're asking. And that's what it produces them, right?
Yeah, I agree totally. Misha, what do you got?
Man, I'm not sure you're ready for this.
Okay. Let's go.
I think that the question is skewed. It's not how will AI help builders become marketers in a more efficient way. It's the answer to this is actually AI on Near and other protocols. Clearly, Near is ahead of the curve, but AI will actually assist communicators and marketers to become devs. And I think that's the most interesting part, where AI and prompts to build eventually become so easy and so efficient that literally anyone who has an idea on how to tap into a new market or a new economic model or a new product of scale can build it using AI prompts on Near. And I think that's a really, really interesting value prop.
So that is, I think, ultimately where a lot of the user-owned internet goes, right? And there's already things happening in that same realm. But Joe, I don't know, maybe he might be off for a second, but when he comes back, because I do
think some dog there.
Yeah, his PFP's up, so I think he's out. Yeah. But I okay, so before he gets back, so I think your point of view, like ideas with prompts to building is going to increase, but I do think that'll actually tighten the relationship between maybe two people, because I think even if you have an AI developer build something, that's still good to have I think there's still a lot of knowledge with just like how these systems go, especially when I talk with Joe and I'm like, whoa, like the depth of that is big. I think especially for like the short term, that's not going to like quickly be swapped. But
Oh,
I don't know
for
if you
sure.
guys,
I'm thinking
yeah.
definitely long-term horizon.
Yeah. I mean, but with these AI updates every year, the long term's not like decades anymore. It's like years, you know, maybe 5,
Yeah.
4. But
Well,
what I'm
you
wondering-
never know. Like with the current like progression of technology, it could be way faster.
dude, some of the stuff I've seen, I'm like, oh, whoa, like, but way faster for sure. So here's my question for you, like, that's the AI aspect. Oh, wait, Joe, you're here.
Back. Sorry.
All right, this is a big question for you because you and I have had many conversations on this. After a couple whiskeys, this is where we go. Will I just be able to AI prompt my way into dev, or will it be dev? Like, is that, I mean, within the short term or even long term? What do you think from a dev point of view, who's in the weeds building?
Sure, great question. So in the short term, no, I don't think so. So the problem that I see as someone as an experienced developer is that you can do the basics. You can certainly prompt your way into the basics. You can do proof of concepts, no problem. You could do basic stuff, I think, with pretty much without issue. To deploy anything that's actually production worthy, you need to have that basis of knowledge. And I think this goes into some of the stuff that probably in any industry that it's really very much a tool. And so I think I would even say, like, from a marketing standpoint, I can probably get a really great marketing plan from an LLM. The execution part of it really then comes down to it. And so I think that's where we're at now too with developers, where I know, like, if I did not know what I know, I would have shipped code from an LLM that is buggy, that is possibly allows for malicious behavior, or that maybe just doesn't work right. I mean, so many times I've had to tell it, like, no, you're wrong. So we're still there. It's going to get better. It's going to get improved. But I really think this goes to my larger discussion that I really believe in of, like, I have to be able to have product and vision in mind and architecture. I might not need to be the best coder anymore, and I'm certainly not the best developer, but I think I understand
You're one of
product.
the best, Joe. Don't understand yourself.
It was pretty legendary.
But I think understanding product and architecture and those type of things are really become with the skill set that then tie into, like, right now, AI makes me a faster coder and it makes me more efficient. I probably can do the work now of multiple people, where before, let's say if I was a 3x before, now maybe I'm a 10x, right? So we'll call it that. But now it's like, but I still need to do the work. I can't just type in some prompts and let it go. So that's where I think people who are not programmers might fall into the trap of, like, oh, look at all this great code it spit out. But if you don't know how to really implement it, you don't know what to look for, we're running the risk of having issues. Long term, yeah, probably will take my job.
Long term, well, I mean, when you like, the AI agent layer is coming. The agentic framework is like it's being built. Right. I don't know if you guys are looking around on X and stuff. Are you seeing the AI agents that people are dropping?
Oh my God, the terminal of truth. Oh my God, that one is unhinged.
Yeah, but Near has a couple. I mean, Near Intern AI, they've got a couple. But they're not bad. They're not perfect, but they're a lot better than they were 3 months ago. I mean, I've been testing AI agents for marketing purposes for several months now, and some still feel like old Chat GPT 3.5. You know, they're like, "Hey, how's it going? Empowering, revolutionary, cool product." These newer ones, they're doing something slightly differently. They're messing with fonts. They're using capitalization. They're tweaking things in a way that I think
making intentional mistakes to sound more human.
Yeah, so I almost think, like, I see a vision, and tell me if you guys think this is something, Joe, as well. Every project will have a Near, or not, I like to think Near, but every Near project will have a Near AI agent.
I mean, we are a bit biased, so it's okay.
Well, the thing I love about Near is that it's not a maxi chain. That's why I think Near's, like, greatest strength is that it's not a maxi chain. It plays well with all chains. Its goal is to, like, help. I mean,
it's strange that you say that, Jared, because I was just thinking as I was listening to Joe, like, yes, AI is an important factor, but it is still being built. It's going to take time.
Yeah.
Even if it's upgrading on its own capacity and it's doubling the speed, it's still far away in that kind of real practical sense of being able to be useful. But chain abstraction, that's where I'm a maxi.
Yep.
Like, I'm not a near maxi. I'm not a Bitcoin maxi for sure. You know, it's been in my core for a while, but in terms of chain abstraction maxi, that's definitely where I've come, because chain abstraction allows the multi-chain experience to be the most seamless. Ridiculously simple idea. You have one wallet, one account, you use one gas token to transact on all chains. Like, come on.
Yeah. I think the superpower, and Joe, tell me if I'm right on. I think Near's account model being it's like truly like the superpower of this thing, right?
Yeah,
like, it's not talked about near enough. I'm always shouting it, but I think it's truly changing. It's allowing Misha for Sweat to do his thing. Like that whole project works that way. And Vish, like,
yeah, totally. I mean, that's, you know, again, one of the things that we're trying to keep harping on. Like, there are other chains that are doing things that are chain abstractive like, and there's other things that are like that. The account model on Near is second to none. And it really opens up the opportunity when we talk about, again, product and product market fit and who your users are. The ability to be able to onboard people and not have them to feel like it's crypto and not have to do all this other stuff really is a superpower.
Yes, sir.
And that's the way, that's what makes it special.
Yeah.
Dude.
Misha, like, I remember like 2 days ago when I was in the office and we talked about self-validation in different ways. Now, I think like for any project or like, I'm not talking about like early stage at this point, I'm talking about like projects we are currently building have some traction. Like in the end of the day, somehow you need to make your users feel special, and like that message has to be personal, because that's how you build retention, which most of the projects don't completely forget about.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, there's one thing we're talking about, having a market fit and finding who are your users, but how do you retain those users? How do you engage those users?
That's the main thing.
And eventually, if you're going to have a sustained business model, how would you monetize a subset of those users as well? And how you're going to continue to grow that way? And one of the things that we were discussing the other day in Misha was, you know, we have to get users to feel recognized. Not only have something that's useful and valuable, but also somewhat validated, whether, you know, it's in movement, then it's, you know, could be a badge or a, you know, streak or something that has, you know, you've been able to receive or be rewarded for what you've been able to accomplish. But this can, of course, be replicated and scaled on many other businesses.
Absolutely, completely agree, like on that, Misha.
Yeah, what's really great to have you guys on this space right now, right, is you're both lead marketing, so your mindset is from that perspective, right? The nitty gritty details of it maybe aren't as necessary for dev builders in a hackathon as much until their project gets going, like the content marketing. Let's start building out like a hub and spoke model and start driving engagement. That might be a couple steps after. What you guys are really hitting at, in Joe as well, is to do some thinking before you build about these key points that marketing walks through, and then
know your market, you know, like, and if there are enough users to actually use that project.
Exactly. And then soon we'll have a Vish or Vishal AI that will have this help guide people through this in the very beginning stage. Dude, I really think we should do it.
I think it's called ChatGPT now.
No, but see, here's the difference. So you could do ChatGPT totally, but if it's hyper focused with you with some couple APIs, I don't know, it could be kind of neat. But
I would love to do that.
And then what we do is we make it on Twitter, and anyone can ask your on Twitter. It can ask you questions. So they just at you or at your AI and say, "Hey, help me start my marketing thing." And you'll have all these threads.
I think in the last 5 years in Web3, I've written like over 300 articles, over like, you know, shit ton of papers. I think we could actually make an LLM on that.
Oh, dude, see, this is what idea for hackathon. And Joe, someone's got some question in here that we'll send them to about building an agent with Masa and stuff. There will be a spaces right after this with Metapool, but also you can go to DevHub. There's a lot of spaces there to give them some focus. And you can even, the Masa team's super on point. You can ask them, they'll jump in and help you as well. So that's it. So now that we're kind of wrapping up here at the top of the hour, let's like do our takeaways for like devs at a hackathon. What would you say to them to kind of recap what we've talked about here that they can do? Vish, let's start with you, and we'll end with Misha with you, and then Joe.
I think like I'll start with they need to do their literally their research, that if there's actually a market for that. That's like a number one thing. They need to know that once they have that, they need to figure out if it's actually a qualified product market fit. So if there's 100 users which will use a product, great for you, but that is not a qualified PMF. Like, you need to focus that people will keep coming back to it. So somehow you need to understand your product, you need to understand your marketing, and you need to absolutely nail down user behavior.
Cool. Misha, if you've got a second before we wrap, you got anything?
For sure. I think, something we spoke about in the beginning of the stream was, find a problem to solve, right? Like, you need to really dig deep, and usually that comes from something within you, right? Or within your group of, your devs community or your friends. What are you passionate about? And then trying to solve that for a larger group of people. And once you've hit that nail, then you have to also think not only what Vish was talking about, who are my users? Where do they come from? What ages do they have? What gender? Which, social status? Which regions? So on and so forth. But also, how do I scale this? Meaning, can I go from 10 to 100 to 1,000 to 10,000 users? And can I continue that way onto 10 million? And in our case, it's the opposite, where we're currently at 20 million installs, and our goal is 500 million and 1 billion. So, the same thing is the same questions that anyone who's starting out is something that we're, still working on, and that is scalability.
Oh man, that's a wonderful,
Love it.
Yeah, that was, dude, Misha, you got such a way to organize thoughts that I can easily understand. And Joe, any last things for devs and marketing before we drop the animation at the end?
No. I can't follow that. That was great. I caught that last part though.
Come on, Joe. Yeah. We don't care about the dogs. Let's go.
Yeah. No. I listen. Just I hope people learn something from this. It's all about thinking things through before you just build. So be thoughtful and have fun building.
Still time to sign up for Redacted Online Hackathon, and make sure you can also sign up for Redacted, the event in Bangkok, November 9th through 11th. Tickets are free, space is limited, and it's filling up. So definitely see you all there. Appreciate you guys for taking the time to be and help some marketing stuff for the hackathon. And we'll see you on the good old.
Thank you, Jared.
See you on X. All right, bye.